Elena Vasquez noticed the gun before she noticed the man carrying it. It was a small detail, the kind most people ignored. But Elena had grown up in Zone 14 of New Detroit, a place where small details could decide if you lived or died. The man's jacket hung wrong, too heavy on the left side. The fabric pulled slightly downward, as if something solid rested inside. A weapon. Elena didn't panic. People from the slums learned early that panic got you killed. Instead, she continued walking across the restaurant floor with her tray balanced calmly in her hands. The Crimson Nebula restaurant floated inside orbital station Kepler 7. It was one of the most expensive restaurants in human space. Politicians ate here. Alien diplomats negotiated treaties here. Crime bosses made deals here. Everyone pretended to be civilized inside its glowing golden walls. Tonight, however, the private dining room had only one guest. Ambassador Krathfer. A dragon. His copper scales shimmered under the soft lights. His wings were folded carefully behind his massive chair. For 30 years, the draconian hegemony and humanity had shared a fragile alliance. Peace between species was rare. Many groups wanted that peace to end. Elena knew that. Everyone on the station knew that. And the man with the wrong jacket was walking straight toward the dragon ambassador. The fake waiter carried a tray with drinks. But Elena immediately knew something was wrong. Real waiters constantly checked the kitchen door. They glanced at the service station. They watched the tables. This man did none of those things. His eyes were locked only on Krathfer. And he was getting closer. 20 meters. Elena's heart began to beat faster. 2 draconian guards stood near the entrance, their ceremonial armor shining. But they were far away. Too far. The restaurant's soft music covered most sounds. No one else noticed anything strange. 15 meters. Elena realized something terrifying. If Krathfer died tonight, the alliance would collapse. The galaxy might go to war. And somehow, the only person who had noticed the danger was a human waitress. Elena took a slow breath. Running would cause panic. Screaming might trigger the attack early. She had seconds to think. Then she grabbed a napkin. It was folded into a beautiful white swan beside the wine glass. Her grandmother had taught her calligraphy when she was a child. Back then it felt useless. Tonight it might save a life. Elena quickly unfolded the napkin and wrote 6 tiny words. Fake waiter. Gun. Left side. Her hands trembled slightly. 10 meters. She walked calmly to Krathfer's table. Your wine, ambassador, she said politely. Her voice sounded steady. She wasn't sure how. She placed the glass down. Then, in one smooth motion, she slid the napkin beneath his clawed hand. Krathfer glanced at her. Then at the napkin. For one long second. Nothing happened. Then his golden eyes narrowed into thin vertical lines. Dragons, Elena realized, were extremely good at hiding their reactions. He casually lifted the wine glass. At the same time, he quietly palmed the napkin. He read the message without moving his head. The assassin was now only 8 meters away. Krathfer leaned forward slightly. To discuss the wine, he said aloud. Then he whispered quietly. The one approaching. Elena kept her eyes lowered like a polite server. Yes. How certain are you? She whispered back. I grew up in Zone 14. That answer said everything. Krathfer tapped one claw against the table. Across the room, his guards slightly adjusted their posture. Some kind of silent signal had been sent. But it wouldn't be enough. The assassin was still approaching. 5 meters. Krathfer spoke again quietly. If I move to attack, he will fire. Elena swallowed. I know. The kitchen exit is behind you, the dragon continued calmly. He will shoot through you. Elena's stomach tightened. Still. She didn't move away. Krathfer looked at her again. You could have said nothing, he said softly. You could have looked away. The assassin was only 3 meters away now. Elena whispered back. Because good people doing nothing is how bad things happen. Krathfer studied her for a moment. Then something surprising happened. He said her name. Elena. She blinked in surprise. You have a daughter, he continued. Mira. 7 years old. She loves starships. Elena stared. He remembered. 3 months earlier she had mentioned that during a conversation while serving dinner. No one ever remembered those details. Except him. 2 meters. The assassin's hand began sliding inside his jacket. Krathva spoke quickly. He will drop the tray and draw his weapon. My guards will reach him in 3 seconds. But he will have time for 1 shot. 1 shot was enough. Elena suddenly had an idea. I have a plan, she whispered. Krathva tilted his head. You trust me? The dragon gave a low rumble. You warned me when you could have stayed silent. Yes. I trust you. Elena turned slightly. She saw the pepper grinder sitting on the table. Solid brass. Heavy. Perfect weight. The assassin stepped closer. His hand touched the weapon. Elena moved. In one quick motion she grabbed the grinder and threw it. Not at his head. At the tray. The metal struck with a loud crash. Glasses shattered. Liquid sprayed everywhere. For half a second the assassin reacted instinctively. He tried to catch the tray. That tiny mistake saved the ambassador's life. Krathva dropped below the table instantly. The assassin pulled his gun. A suppressed shot fired. The bullet passed through empty air where the dragon's head had been. Elena dove sideways. The second shot came. Pain exploded across her shoulder. She slammed onto the floor. Her vision blurred. The draconian guards arrived 3 seconds later. But the assassin knew he had failed. He fired 1 final shot. Into his own head. The restaurant exploded into chaos. People screamed. Tables overturned. Alarms blared across the station. Elena lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling. Blood spread across the tiles beneath her arm. Then a massive shadow blocked the lights. Krathva knelt beside her. His claws were surprisingly gentle. Stay with me, Elena, he said. Medical team is coming. She tried to smile weakly. Did it work? Krathva nodded slowly. Yes. You saved my life. Her vision darkened. And everything faded to black. Elena woke up 3 days later. The first thing she noticed was the ceiling. White medical lights. The second thing she noticed was the silence. Then came the pain. Her left shoulder felt like it was on fire. A regeneration sleeve covered her arm. Machines beeped softly beside the bed. Ah, a deep voice rumbled nearby. You are awake. Elena turned her head. Ambassador Krathva sat beside the bed. Even sitting down, he looked enormous. You're alive, she said. Krathva's golden eyes softened slightly. Yes. That is because of you. Elena blinked slowly. What happened? The assassin died, Krathva said. He carried no identification. But our intelligence teams are searching for the organization responsible. He paused. Many powerful people did not want peace between our species. Elena sighed. Figures. Krathva leaned forward slightly. The doctors say you will recover completely. That's good, she said weakly. I still need to pay rent. Krathva stared at her. Then something surprising happened. The dragon laughed. A deep, rumbling sound like distant thunder. You humans, he said. You almost die saving an alien diplomat, and your first concern is rent. Elena shrugged. That's life. 3 weeks later, Elena stood inside the Draconian embassy. Her arm was mostly healed now. She wore an elegant dress provided by the embassy. It cost more than she earned in an entire year. The ceremony was small and private. Only a few diplomats attended. Most people on the station believed the restaurant incident had been a kitchen accident. The truth was classified. Krathva stood before her. Elena Vasquez, he said formally. For courage in the face of certain death, and for protecting the alliance between our peoples. He lifted a small necklace. A single copper dragon scale hung from a chain of glowing thread. I award you the copper scale of honor. He gently placed it around her neck. The room filled with polite applause. Elena looked down at the tiny scale. It feels strange, she said quietly. I'm just a waitress. Crathver shook his head slowly. No. You are something much rarer. Later, Elena walked alone in the embassy's garden. Artificial stars glowed through the glass ceiling. Crathver joined her quietly. Your daughter, he said. Mira. Elena smiled. She's probably telling her friends her mom fought space assassins. Crathver chuckled. She wants to be a starship pilot. Elena looked surprised. You remember that too? Yes. Crathver looked toward the stars. The Draconian hegemony is opening a new academy. A joint human-dragon training program. The first of its kind. He turned back to her. There will be scholarships. Full funding for families who have demonstrated commitment to the Alliance. Elena felt her throat tighten. You're offering Mira a place. Crathver nodded. She will receive the best training in 2 civilizations. Elena stared at the stars above. Her daughter's dream suddenly felt possible. I didn't do it for rewards, she said quietly. I know, Crathver replied. That is exactly why you deserve them. He studied her for a moment. You saw danger. You chose to act. Not for money. Not for fame. But because it was right. He gestured toward the stars. That is what makes humanity remarkable. Elena tilted her head. Remarkable. Crathver nodded slowly. Many species choose safety. Many choose logic. But humans. You choose courage. Even when the cost is high. Elena thought about Zone 14. About long nights working double shifts. About struggling to give Mira a better life. It's not courage, she said quietly. It's just being human. Crathver smiled slightly. Yes. That is exactly what I meant. Months later, a small news story appeared across several worlds. It was short. Barely noticed. A new interspecies academy opened its doors. Among its first students, a young girl named Mira Vasquez. Her mother watched proudly as the training ships lifted into orbit. Elena touched the copper scale hanging around her neck. All because she noticed a jacket hanging the wrong way. All because she cared enough to act. Sometimes heroes were not soldiers. Sometimes they were waitresses. And sometimes, saving one life could change the future of the entire galaxy.